What's up, guys? Chaz and Charlie, and today we are going to discuss your relationship with weed after addiction, or maybe we should say redefining your relationship with weed after addiction. So, whatever journey you're on, whether you've been off weed for 3 months, 6 months, a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, you may go through different thoughts in your mind. Should I smoke weed again? Can you actually smoke weed after addiction? Just like, alcoholics, can you drink after being an alcoholic? And from what I have heard, most alcoholic groups would probably say it's not safe to have a drink or even really do anything that has addictive qualities, including things like weed or cigarettes, or maybe not cigarette, but or maybe so, or of course harder drugs. But what about weed? Because weed is, like they say, not like alcohol, not like hard drugs. Is it really a big deal? Can you go from smoking weed every single day, all day, to being off and then integrating weed back in your life? Or are you just so opposed to smoking weed? And I kind of went through this and still occasionally, go back and forth in my mind through what's right, what's wrong. My initial plan was, I've never said that, I'm going to quit weed. I'm never smoking a blunt a day in my life. Even now in my journey, it's been well over a year, almost 2 years I haven't smoked. I'm still not going to say that, I'll never smoke again ever in my life. But is it possible to integrate weed back in your life after addiction? I said that, maybe if it was like my birthday or celebration, I could, smoke for that day. And when time came for, it was my birthday actually, I didn't have a desire to smoke. So I said, if I, don't have a strong desire to smoke, why am I doing this? And then I recently came across was listening to a podcast, Modern Wisdom, Chris Williamson, and, they were talking about addiction and talking about how you can be sober, be off a substance and still be controlled by it. A lot of times when you're in things like AA, your life is consumed with not drinking alcohol. You'll say, I'm 365 days sober, or I'm 2 years sober, or 5 years sober, or 10 years sober. You're constantly keeping count. Your sobriety is such on a close watch. So in a sense, it still kind of controls your life. You're not able to, you don't want to put yourself in certain situations because you feel like, what if I relapse, or what if? And in a sense, and they say that he was saying that maybe this thing is still controlling your life, which I partially agree with that. I do feel like true sobriety, true overcoming the addiction is, one, you should be able to be around a substance and not be tempted. You can be around people who smoke weed or see it and not be like, oh, I'm afraid I'm going to smoke. That if you're truly over that, that shouldn't be a thing. Now, people may say, I've heard that with this channel, people say the most nerve-wracking thing is, to talk about not smoking weed all day. And I think because I made this channel, people think I consume my life with not smoking weed just like a alcoholic or ex-alcoholic. But that's not the case. I talk about it a lot because I want to make this channel to help those who were in my position. But in my regular life, I don't talk about weed all day, every day. But I do still feel a slight connection to weed. If I see weed, if I smell weed, I'm not so much tempted like, oh, okay, I think there's different variables of this. Okay, short story, am I tempted to still smoke weed? No. But it differs depending on what I come across. Okay, for example, if I see somebody who was like my old self, like my old friends or my relatives or my mother, that still smoke weed every day, all day, I don't miss that. I don't miss needing weed to wake up, waiting for my wife to leave to smoke, looking for every opportunity to smoke, having to smoke on my lunch break, worrying about who smells me, do I look high, where's the weed man, he isn't answering. I don't miss that. I enjoy the freedom I have, weed not controlling my life. So do I miss having weed on a daily basis? No. Oh, hold on, guys. So no, I don't miss being addicted to weed. Now, when I see people who, whether they're just when I see people smoking leisurely, maybe those who are not addicted, and honestly, I don't, and I'm gonna say maybe I see most of this probably on things like YouTube or vlogs that, may talk about it. So, I mean, honestly, I don't know if they actually are addicted or they're just saying that, but I do sometimes slightly envy those who are able to enjoy weed on a non-addictive level. I do think weed is like alcohol for a non-alcoholic. I'm not opposed to drinking. I think there's nothing wrong with having a drink in a social situation that, brings joyous good times. I don't think we should drink every day, or of course drink every day all day. I'm not promoting drunkenness, but an occasional drink in the environment of celebration or social interaction, I don't think it's a big deal. I think it can be a helpful lubricant to make the time be a little bit better. Same thing with the weed. I don't think smoking a joint, is in the same way is a bad thing. And I do regret that I ruined my relationship with weed, because I still would prefer weed over alcohol. But for me personally, it's not the case. That I can't enjoy weed. Okay, so I don't have a fear of being addicted to weed anymore, but I still would have to keep it at a certain level. Like, I think if you smoked every month or once a month, it's not a big deal. Even every 2 weeks with your friends, not a big deal. For me personally, I know I could not smoke every month. That would be too frequent for me to not do it. Start on every other week and every week. I could slowly fall back into my cycle. Now, I think I could do, once, twice, 3 times a year, and it not be a big deal. At this point in my journey, I haven't, went down that route, but I think I can handle it on a yearly, twice a year, 3 times a year basis. And I wish that I hadn't indulged in weed at such a young age to where I couldn't do that with weed. Or, like I said, smoke weed like how I would have a drink, once a month. So I envy those slightly who chose not to smoke until they were over the age of 25. I always say you probably should wait until you smoke weed, until your brain is well developed and you are over the age of 25. Not saying you don't still risk chance of slightly being addicted, but versus you starting when you're 16 like I did, have a higher chance of being addicted starting at such a young age. But if you start with 25, I think you have a better chance of enjoying it for what it is. So, I go through this battle. I don't go through this battle, but I did briefly, I don't have any desire right now to smoke a blunt. And I do feel like, even with this channel, if I wasn't doing this channel, maybe I would have had a smoke session for my birthday. But I also feel like me doing this channel, I don't want to be a hypocrite. And really, I don't think it's a hypocrite because like I said, I don't think there's nothing wrong with smoking weed occasionally. This is channel designed for people to help those who are addicted to weed. So that's a personal thing I go back and forth with. Like, okay, if I smoke a blunt, is the channel a sham? But hearing that thing on Chris Williamson, I thought we already did this, but whatever. Should I smoke a blunt and not be addicted to it to prove to myself that weed doesn't control my life? You know, not smoke in the fear of being addicted, but smoke as like, okay, now let me prove to myself that I can integrate weed in my life back in small doses and not be addicted. Do I owe that to my sobriety? So this is what I'm currently going through in my head. Or am I looking for an excuse to smoke? I don't think so. Like I said, I have no desire to allow weed to control my life. But I do wonder, should I smoke to prove to myself I'm not addicted to it, to truly lift myself from the burden of being an ex-pothead? So here's my current thoughts in my head about weed and addiction. Now, I do encourage that you go at least a full year before you contemplate this. I do think you should prove to yourself you can go a year without weed to truly get out your system. Now, you can retrain your brain in 30 days. So if you don't smoke for 30 days, you can rewire your system to not need weed. But I think if you go a full year, you definitely have proven that you are out the realm of relapsing or out the realm of becoming addicted to weed. So I would stick to a year of sobriety before I contemplate trying to integrate I don't know, it sounds weird. Integrate weed back into your life. So guys, if you are on your sobriety journey, what do you think? Have you brought weed back in small doses? Did you try that and you became back addicted to it? I've heard some cases where people do that and actually not like the act of being high or not like the feeling once they tried it again. So it can differ from person to person. So what do you guys think? So in the meantime, guys, like, subscribe, share. Most importantly, shut up, dog. Comment below. And remember, guys, we are all in this together. Peace.